Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
I've been briefed by my team on the situation. We still don't know all the facts, but we do know that several people have been shot and some have been killed. So we are confronting yet another mass shooting. And today it happened on a military installation in our nation's capital. It's a shooting that targeted our military and civilian personnel. These are men and women who were going to work, doing their job, protecting all of us. They're patriots, and they know the dangers of serving abroad, but today they face the unimaginable violence that they wouldn't have expected here at home.
All right, folks, welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show, Monday edition, and that is the news that we are starting with today, the shooting at the Navy Yard in Washington, D.C. We now have 12 dead, including the shooter, I believe, and they are still looking for one more possible shooter. Joining us now to walk us through what has happened, how it transpired, is reporter and anchor for NBC News Radio in Washington, D.C., John Stolnis. Hey, John, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Okay, so let's start backwards if we can. I believe the latest is they had been looking for 2 additional possible shooters in addition to the one shooter who is dead. One black male, one white male, but they have since ruled out the white male that they've been searching for, correct?
That's correct. And the thing with this is they're getting these other shooters from surveillance video at the Navy base. And it's really hard to tell if you see the surveillance video, and I haven't seen the surveillance video, but from everything that's been reported, NBC's Pete Williams has been following up on this, is that you can't tell if these are simply guys who work at the Navy Yard and they're allowed to have weapons and they're drawing their weapons as a means of self-protection or to protect others, or if they're some kind of security there, or if they're a part of the shooting, a part of the event, if they're in cahoots with the shooter. So there's a lot of the fog of this kind of thing that happens. You know, you're not real sure who's doing what, and it's the surveillance video is not clear. So they're still looking for one other person, but most people seem to think that this incident is really just confined to the one shooter, 34-year-old Aaron Alexis from Texas.
What do we know about Aaron Alexis from Texas?
We don't know much. We know he's a civilian. He's a civilian contractor who just recently started working for the Navy. We know that he got on the base by using a former employee's ID. This former employee was apparently either just laid off or resigned not more than a few days ago. But police seem to think right now that's merely just kind of a coincidence. So the FBI is speaking to him. They don't believe that he's necessarily involved, but they're definitely checking up on it because they want to know how this guy's ID got in the hands of Aaron Alexis.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we're not talking about there was a wrong name. The CBS News and some others were going with a Raleigh Chance, and then they quickly withdrew that. And he is a Navy Chief Petty Officer, so he wasn't the person whose ID was used, is it?
We have not gotten a confirmation as to the name of the person whose ID was used, so okay. I can't really comment
and they
on
don't
that.
think right now that the person who recently left somehow gave the ID to this person, is in cahoots, if you will, with this person? No reason to believe that right now?
They're not sure. They're going to interview him and see. I don't think that they believe that he's involved, but it certainly raises an eyebrow or two when somebody's ID, and it's very coincidental that this guy was just laid off not more than a few days ago, or he resigned. It's not clear whether he was laid off or resigned, so still a lot of unanswered questions with this guy.
When you say Aaron Alexis from Texas, African-American, I presume, when he's dead, and you say he was an independent contractor who just started, working in what capacity? Do we know?
We don't know that yet either. Again, the details are slow in coming out. They just released his name about a half an hour ago, so we're still learning a little bit more about the background of this guy.
All right, so take us through, if you can, what happened today,
sure,
for those who don't know.
Sure. It was around 8:30 this morning Eastern Time. There were reports of shots fired. Alexis allegedly went into the headquarters at the naval base, and there are about 3,000 people who work there on a daily basis, and he walked in right at around the time everybody's getting there, and immediately people said they heard 3 shots fired and then a pause, and then eyewitnesses say there was another 4 or 5 shots fired right away, and people started streaming for the exits. They put out on the loudspeaker for everybody to get out to the emergency exit. Every military base has a protocol for this sort of thing, especially since the Fort Hood shooting a few years ago. And so eventually this guy, apparently, he took 11 lives. It's unclear still whether he killed himself or was killed by police. I think it's more likely he was killed by police, but we don't know that for sure yet. And he
went building to building?
Well, they say at first he was standing above the cafeteria. Apparently, there's an overlook from a floor above where he started picking people off from a floor above, overlooking the cafeteria. And then he started moving from room to room. And there was one eyewitness who said he described himself as hiding under his cubicle, and he watched as this man shot a security guard or a naval-based police officer in the legs. So it seemed like it was a combination of he was picking people off from a height of some kind, and then went from room to room, cubicle to cubicle. It's the naval base is a huge complex, especially the headquarters, and there are a lot of different ways he could go about doing this. There's small enclosed areas, and there's large areas as well. So, and he was carrying a lot of ammunition. He had a handgun and an assault rifle and a shotgun with him. So he was prepared to do some damage.
And he could get in. You could get into that naval base with the proper ID, carrying that kind of ammunition.
Well, it's unclear exactly how he got on. I mean, he did get on with the ID, but it's unclear how he got on with all of that ammunition and with all of that firepower. Now, consider people are allowed to be armed on base, certain people. I mean, you do have access to weapons on that base, and lots of people are in military clothing on that base. So no one's real sure. It's one of the unanswered questions, how he managed to get all of these weapons on base. Right. But, you know, each military facility has their own security setup. I mean, sometimes it can vary from gate to gate, hour to hour, depending on who the guard is. I'm married to a military family, and we live right in between Fort Belvoir and Quantico here in Northern Virginia. And I've been on both military bases numerous times, got married at Fort Belvoir, and it really just depends on the guard you have. I mean, you have to have a military decal on your car in order to get onto both of those bases.
Right. Interesting. All right, one more question. I understand the Senate, which had been in recess, has now gone into lockdown, so there'll be no further business in the Senate. And I guess the city, some schools were on lockdown, and dismissal, I don't know, has it taken place yet or not?
I believe the schools are still on lockdown. I believe there were 8 schools entirely, 8 or 9. I don't know the exact number, but yeah, a number of D.C. schools were on lockdown. Reagan Airport was actually stopped all outgoing flights for about 45 minutes this morning as well. So yeah, D.C. is normally a pretty secure town as it is, but especially in the area of southeast D.C. Where the naval base is, it's gotten much tighter, and people are just keeping an extra eye out now around town.
All right. Listen, I really do appreciate it. John Stolness, NBC News Radio in Washington, D.C. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Steve.
Take care. All right, folks. So there you have the latest. They're still looking possibly for one more shooter. They know that the one shooter is definitely dead. They're not sure if they're looking for one more or not. They thought they were looking for 2, a white man and a black man. They've since ruled out the white man, and maybe eventually they'll rule out the remaining suspect as well. We just don't know. They have identified the shooter that they know of, who is dead, who either killed himself or was killed by police. Again, an independent contractor, not a member of the military, and just started, and apparently used stolen ID from someone who had just left that facility and went on to another career or left but no longer is there. How he got that ID is still a matter of great concern, and so is the one man that they're still looking for, obviously, as evidenced by the lockdown of the schools still in effect and the lockdown of the U.S. Senate building as well. When we come back, we will take a look at this with David Katz, founder and CEO of Global Security Group. He's a former senior special agent for DEA, a firearms and homeland security expert. We'll talk to him about how this could have happened and what it means if there is more than one shooter. All that straight ahead right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Drug, alcohol, and gambling addiction can be devastating for you and your loved ones. Don't let the disease of addiction ruin everything you've worked so hard for. The Treatment Helpline has helped thousands of people just like you take control of their addictions and live healthier, cleaner, and happier lives. You are not alone. Now there's hope. The Treatment Helpline has helped people just like you overcome their addiction. If you or a loved one is suffering from a drug, alcohol, or gambling addiction, let us help you today. Call 1-800-813-9821. Our seasoned addiction treatment professionals can show you how to use your private health insurance to help cover the costs of this life-changing program. Call now and get a free confidential consultation. 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821. Help is only a phone call away. Call 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821.
Meet Jim. Like many of us, Jim enjoys a busy life. Between work, family, and friends, his days zip along. And Jim has the energy to tackle almost anything. But lately, Jim's get up and go has literally taken on a new meaning. Jim's always put focus on a full night's sleep, but it seems like these days, he's up and down to go to the bathroom so many times he can barely wake up in the morning. His prostate concerns have him sad, tired, and worried. Activities that were once enjoyable now seem like a chore for Jim. His golf game is at the mercy of his bathroom schedule. Family outings are planned around it too. Jim even has difficulty going to the bathroom. He's tried so many prostate remedies he can't keep them straight, and nothing ever seems to help. Then Jim found out about Prostate Revive, the all-natural dietary supplement specifically formulated for men, targeted towards improving and sustaining normal prostate function. Prostate Revive includes 15 super ingredients never combined before, including saw palmetto extract, beta-cytosterol, pomegranate fruit extract, selenium, and other high-quality nutrients. These targeted and all-natural ingredients promote healthy urinary flow and optimal prostate health. And the best part is, Prostate Revive was developed by a renowned medical doctor. Dr. David Brownstein personally formulated Prostate Revive with one goal in mind, to promote a healthy prostate gland. Thanks to Prostate Revive, Jim's got his life back. He gets a full night's sleep every night, and his friends and his wife can't believe he's the same guy. He has his old energy back, and no one has to wait for him. He doesn't even think about his prostate concerns anymore. Visit MedicSelect.com to take back your nights and improve your quality of life with Prostate Revive.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AftershockVideo.com. AftershockVideo.com.
What is Lignet? Lignet is knowledge. Lignet is power. Lignet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet is security. What is Lignet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on Lignet.com. You've been briefed.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back as we continue our coverage the breaking news, the shooting at the Navy Yard in Washington, D.C., 12 dead, including the shooter. One suspect possibly still on the loose. Joining us now is David Katz. He's founder and CEO of Global Security Group, former senior special agent at the DEA, firearms homeland security expert, and also for 4 years was a primary firearms instructor for the FBI and DEA Academy at Quantico. Hello, sir. Pleasure to have you on with us. Thank you.
You're very welcome. By the way, you left out Stan and Steve Malzberg. I'm a New York boy.
Well, thank you very much. I did not know that. I appreciate
now
that.
You do.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you. That's very nice of you. All right. So, first of all, and I don't know, CNN just had a graphic up. I could only watch with the sound off, saying that they fingerprinted the suspect who's dead, but they haven't released his name yet. The name is all over the place, at least according to NBC News, who we spoke to earlier at the top. But that aside, if this is a situation where, and NBC News told us that Aaron Alexis from Texas, who is the dead shooter that they know of, if he just signed on as we were told, as a independent contractor there at the naval yard, and he used the identity of someone who just left to get on base, whether or not there's another shooter or not, let's just focus on what we do know according to NBC News. What would that tell you?
Obviously, it's clear that it's a planned effort. If there are two shooters, it's a concerted effort. And in other words, it's not a matter of a disgruntled employee having some grievance with his workplace, maybe passed over for a promotion or whatever the situation may be. This is a clear, planned, deliberate attack, and it's especially with the concerted effort, it's smacks of a terror incident.
It smacks of a terror incident.
Yes.
Okay. So if there is another shooter, first they were looking for two other suspects, one white, one black. They ruled out the white suspect. They're still looking for the black suspect that I believe they got from a video camera. Again, not sure if he was just pointing his gun into defense or, because of the situation, or whether or not he was a shooter. But if there is another one, that enhances the likelihood that it might be terror related in your view.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, that location, and I'm a little familiar with the area, that's kind of an interesting location in that it's not one of these places where you'd say, okay, I understand. It's like the Washington Monument. It's a place that would invite terrorism. This is a very strange choice, and it also is a place that requires a little bit of intimate knowledge because it's a sprawling facility, and clearly he knew about the security, how to get in, how to beat it. So it's a little planning there. That's something. I mean, we only know very, very little as far as his background and even the details of the shooting. But there's a lot more to be uncovered, and we only just start scratching the surface.
For someone to take those kinds of weapons in, I think he had three altogether, a rifle, a pistol, maybe, I forget what the third one was. Based on your expert knowledge of firing weapons and teaching the firing of weapons, would he have had to have had extensive training in that area?
Well, no, I mean, you're talking about close proximity to your victims, and, maybe a modicum of training, because, I mean, look, there's a great degree of a great scale when it comes to firearms proficiency. You could simply know how to load, aim, and press the trigger, and that'll make you at least able to fire the rounds. You're talking about a level of expertise that's it's kind of hard to tell, but if you just have the bare minimum, the basics, and understand sight alignment, trigger control, how to load the weapon, you're going to be able to do a lot of damage. So it's unclear whether he had any real serious training or not.
And to the security aspect of it, and someone having to be familiar because of the location, if he was in fact a relatively new independent contractor, would that indicate to you that the planning went on possibly even before, or at least the pre-training went on even before he started working there?
Yeah, it seems that, I mean, especially if it seems like he, again, total speculation.
Right.
It seems like he tried to get a position there to perpetrate the attack. I mean, this doesn't, it does call into question the level of security or level of scrutiny we're giving our contractors to. Look, the big leaker hiding in the Soviet Union now, he was an independent contractor. This guy's an independent contractor. We really need to do a little better job of checking their backgrounds and screening them, because apparently it's kind of these miscreants are falling through the cracks.
We're talking to David Katz, founder and CEO of Global Security Group, former DEA and firearms and Homeland Security expert. Let me ask you one more. The search now, as they search for this man from a video, a black suspect, after ruling out the white suspect they were searching for. I mean, this is a huge facility, and D.C., I mean, the Senate is on lockdown. Schools are still on lockdown. How long could this go on? And what you're an expert in, you've worked with the Israeli government and others, and this kind of thing is right up your alley, so to speak, professionally. So how do they conduct this search?
This is a nightmare. I mean, in DEA, we would do things that we would do a warrant on, let's say, a known drug location. We would be able to do it at a moment of our choosing. We generally had good intelligence on the subject, subjects, not always, but we're talking about, place limited in scope. This is a sprawling facility. There is, I mean, as far as square footage, number of floors, number of rooms, you've got to go room by room, floor by floor. It's a painstaking process, and the level of stress, because, obviously, you have armed individual, at least one, that you're looking for, that's already demonstrated they have no problem in shooting people. Every hallway you walk down, every door you open, every room you go into, you are expecting to get into a gunfight. The level of stress that is building on the search teams is enormous, and I really, my heart goes out to them.
Yeah, well, David, listen, thank you very, very much for sharing your expertise with us, and we'll have you back. I appreciate it, hopefully under better circumstances, and we miss you in New York.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it.
Take care. Thank you very much. David Katz, ladies and gentlemen, founder and CEO of Global Security Group, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. What a extensive resume he has. Okay, when we come back, the Pope made some remarks last week that raised some eyebrows. Bill Donohue, the president of the Catholic League, will be here to walk us through it. Priests might be able to marry. You don't have to believe in God to go to heaven. And what about this story now that holy water might be bad for you? That's right. That's the latest slap at Catholicism by the media. We'll talk about all of it with our friend Bill Donohue of the Catholic League when we continue. You want to weigh in, folks, 855-777-9660 here on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Are payday loans ruining your life? If you have 2 or more payday loan cash advances, listen closely. You may be eligible for a program that payday loan companies don't want you to know about.
This program will get payday loan companies out of your bank account and put an end to the payday loan nightmare. Call for free information and find out if Payday Loan Support Center is right for you. Payday loan companies usually trap you into paying rates as high as 700%. We understand payday lenders' tactics. Don't let them take advantage of you anymore. All you need is 2 or more payday loans to qualify. We can help even if you're behind in collections or have bad credit.
Internet payday loans qualify for this program as well. So call 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. The call is free and the consultation is free. Don't miss out. Call for your free information on payday loan relief. 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. Again, 800-250-5084.
According to the FBI Uniform Crime Report, there are over 5,000 robberies every day. Your home could be at risk of being burglarized. Don't put your loved ones and valuables in jeopardy. For just over $1 per day, your home can be protected from break-ins, fire, and more. Get the latest home security technology from Protect Your Home, your ADT authorized dealer. Over 6 million households sleep better at night with ADT monitored home security. What's more, Protect Your Home is offering you their latest equipment, an $850 value, absolutely free for qualified customers. Protect your loved ones and home today. Call now for licenses and to find out more. The call is free, 1-800-949-8201. That's 1-800-949-8201. Again, 1-800-949-8201. $99 installation charge, 36-month monitoring agreement at $36.99 per month. Payment by credit card or electronic bank account charge. For new homeowner customers with satisfactory credit history only. Local permit fees may be required. Certain restrictions apply. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-625-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV. Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more. 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really? Yeah.
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Last week there were a slew of stories, basically all in one day, based on remarks made by Pope Francis about the church and about some of his views, and they made headlines all over the place, and I figured who better to talk about it all than our friend Bill Donohue, the president of the Catholic League. Always great to see you, sir. Sorry, my hands are cold. It's chilly in here, but I like it cold in here.
There you go.
All right, so first of all, let's start with, one thing, as you and I have talked about, the media. When the Pope resigned and the new Pope was being chosen, will he allow priests to marry? Will he change the rules of the church? Will he allow women as priests? Blah, blah, blah. But he did make remarks that left, I don't know, I interpreted them, maybe you could set me straight, when it came to priests marrying. Did he leave the door open for possible change on that?
First of all, when Cardinal Egan left as the Archbishop of New York, he said, as he was leaving, maybe the time has come for the church to revisit this question. You have to understand the church makes a distinction between dogma, the Trinity, for example, which has no authority to change. Woman priest, off the table. Why? Because the church has no authority to change what Jesus himself had already decided. Jesus never chose his own mother to be an apostle. So we don't consider that on the table. What would be on the table is celibacy. That was basically a normative understanding in the first 1,000 years, that it was the expectation that you would be a celibate, but it wasn't enforced. Not until the 12th century did they encode it. It's kind of like no meat on Friday. These are man-made rules of the Catholic Church. They can change it tomorrow if they want. Now, we do have in the Eastern Rite of the Church married priests. We welcome in Anglicans who convert to Catholicism with their families as married. So it's not like it's altogether new. Will they do it? I don't know. But people are reading too much into this. The next step is not woman priests, even if they went there. And quite frankly, I don't know if they are. But it's not as groundbreaking as some people are making it out to be.
Interesting, because as a non-Catholic, but as certainly a supporter, I was not aware of the difference in the issues and the history on the different issues.
Right has it, and they're part of. They're in full communion with the Pope.
Would you favor
Personally, I wouldn't have any problem with it any more than I had a problem with altar girls. The problem I had with that was that's a pipeline, the altar boys, to become a priest. Did they think it through? I don't think they did. And the same thing here. The guys who remain single, are they going to wind up doing more of the work because the other guy's at the soccer practice on Saturday mornings? I think they have to think things through a little bit, but certainly I wouldn't have a problem with it. They have every right to change celibacy if they want.
Now, another story, maybe even dwarfing what we just talked about, was the Pope saying that God will forgive those who don't believe in God, atheists, agnostics, as long as they behave morally and live according to their consciences, and basically said that you could be an atheist or an agnostic, live that way, and still go to heaven.
Well, here's exactly what he did say, which has not been reported in the media. God's mercy has no limits if he who asks for mercy does so in contrition and with a sincere heart. And at that point, then, if you are an atheist,
turning to God at the end.
Contrition, it means penance. It means that you recognize that you've done something wrong.
Right. Okay.
Look, going back to St. Augustine 1,600 years ago, the churches believed that we have the fullness of grace through Jesus. It doesn't mean that everybody else is automatically excluded. The church has never said so-and-so is going to hell. We're much quicker saying who might be going to heaven. The saints, for example. Very, very reticent on who may be going downstairs, very loud about who's going upstairs. Quite frankly, as I think, again, people have said, now there is a problem with some Catholics and Christians in general. As Benedict said at one point, are you supposed to feel like because I've been a good soldier in the Catholic Church, I ought to get to heaven, and these other people, they should be damned? As Pope Benedict says, that's not a very Christian way of thinking, that your salvation is contingent and linked somehow to somebody else's fate going the other direction. So I think the Catholic Church is basically saying there are people through grace who can come through, whether or not it's through Jesus, they themselves understand it, they can still make it to heaven. And so we don't take a literalist interpretation of that. I don't think there was anything groundbreaking there. Yes, of course, you have to be repentant in order to have your sins forgiven.
And implicit in being repentant is that you, like you said, you realize you did wrong, and you're actually turning who you're repenting to. You're repenting to God.
That there is a God, yes. That's why we say the hand of God is in all of us, whether or not we may realize it.
Okay. Now, so you have you put into I guess better context that this isn't as big a deal as the media made it out to be with regard to the priests. It could be, but it's certainly, you also explained how that is separate from female priests and allowing priests to marry. Let's move on to some other, and this is a bizarre story. When I saw it from our good friends at Newsbusters, Tim Graham wrote this. Good Morning America on Sunday, of course, on Sunday. The website carried holy water may be harmful to your health, study finds. And Liz Fields reported, she was very solemn, that despite its purported cleansing properties, holy water could actually be more harmful than healing, according to a new Austrian study on holy springs, whatever that is. Researchers at the Medical University of Vienna found that holy water in the baptismal font could kill your baby. And they go on to talk about tests show that what's usually used in baptism ceremonies to wet a congregant's lips was infected with common bacteria. I mean, but who drinks this stuff?
Well, not just that. I read the article and they're talking about if you drink it. Look, any Catholic is stupid enough to drink holy water, is probably stupid enough to drink gas at the pump.
This is something
you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, then I can't help you. You know, if to have a sign on the gasoline pump, do not drink it, it may be harmful to your health. I mean, I don't know where these people are coming from. I left this morning in Long Island and I have the holy water in my apartment and I blessed myself. Guess what? I don't think I'm going to drop dead in the next half hour as a result of this. And I'm smart enough to drink a beer and not drink the holy water.
Yeah, I mean, but the holy water, I mean, no disrespect. I don't mean it disrespectfully. Yeah. It lays there. It's open. People dip things in. I mean, why would anybody drink it?
I don't know, unless you're a moron. And so see, this is what. But look at the headlines. Same thing with the Pope and the atheist.
Right.
He didn't say if you're an atheist, you're on the fast track to heaven.
And this doesn't
he
say,
never said that.
This doesn't say if you drink it. It just says that the holy water may be harmful to your health, meaning in the way implying the way it's used.
Yeah. Well, as I say, if you put the gas in your car and not in your mouth, you'll probably live long.
All right. So we're talking to Bill Donohue, the president of the Catholic League, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. this Pope continues to simplify, and to drive around in these smaller cars and live in a non-traditional manner and act in a non-traditional way. And there was one scene, I don't know, when he was making one of his appearances somewhere where he went around and he hugged this baby who had cerebral palsy. If you didn't cry when he hugged a child, not baby, but a child, if you didn't cry when he was holding this child and purposely went around twice to get back to him, not to say other popes haven't done that, but talk about how, we're not surprised that he's acted differently. We knew he would, and he did from day one. He's carried it on right up until as we speak.
Well, he's definitely a maverick, and I would say this much. In one sense, I guess he has to be a little careful to understand that everything he says can be interpreted under a microscope as if it's some kind of an apostolic letter. But the media have to understand something. If the Pope is very friendly and authentic and outgoing, it doesn't mean that if he's jostling with reporters. For example, he was standing up having coffee with the reporters on a plane coming back from Brazil, talking about gays and whatnot. It doesn't mean that that's an encyclical. I mean, he's allowed to speak a little bit off the cuff. I know the downside of that is people will misinterpret it, but let him be real. He's not writing, he's not crafting this thing for all time. He's not speaking in, people talk about infallibility. I know of 2 decisions of the church, both dealing with our Blessed Mother, that are registered as infallible. Nobody else says that a Pope walking around, he makes infallible statements. And I think that, again, there's too much read into this. He is going to break some new ground because I think he is a maverick, as I say. He does like a little bit of novelty. Maybe he does want to shake some things up in the church. I think he should. He's shaking up the Roman Curia, which got too soft, too comfort level, and that's when corruption gets in.
That was from the get-go.
Absolutely.
Did that, yeah.
So again, though, there's this hyperventilation on the part of some people in the church that all of a sudden is going to turn it upside down and inside out tomorrow. Take a deep breath, people. I noticed, by the way, Steve, the New York Times, which did opine on the first 6 months of Benedict XVI, has said nothing on Francis.
I think that is?
Because I think they like some of the things he's saying, but I think they're smart enough at the New York Times to know he's not going to turn around and pivot so he can blend into their editorial positions.
Right. No, absolutely. And plus, if they like it, then they're probably not going to talk about it either.
That's exactly right.
Bill Donohue, president of the Catholic League, one of my favorite people because you speak up, and I love that you speak up. And I got to tell you, not enough Jews speak up on behalf of Christians and Catholics. Not enough Catholics and Christians speak up on behalf of themselves. But when it comes to Catholicism, it comes to the Catholic Church, you do yourself proud and you do everybody proud. And thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you so much.
We're coming back. We'll have the latest on the shooting at the Naval Yards in Washington, D.C. and much, much more. 855-777-9660 if you want to weigh in on anything we just talked about with Bill Donohue, whether you believe priests should be allowed to marry or not, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If your prostate is giving you problems and your doc says it's just part of getting older, be wary. Renowned physician and author Dr. David Brownstein thinks this is baloney. He's discovered a link between aging and prostate health and believes prostate concerns do not have to be an inevitable part of aging. That's why he created Prostate Revive.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Brownstein. I personally formulated Prostate Revive to include the most essential natural ingredients available to help promote a healthy prostate gland and optimal urinary function.
The producers of Dr. Brownstein's Prostate Revive are so thrilled with the positive feedback from satisfied customers that for a limited time, they are willing to send you your first month's supply free. Plus, call now and you'll also receive Dr. Brownstein's special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. For details on getting your free bottle, call 1-800-596-REVIVE. That's 1-800-596-REVIVE. Take control with Prostate Revive. Call now while supplies last to claim your risk-free bottle at 1-800-596-REVIVE.
The debt bomb is ticking. U.S. Treasury says our national debt will hit $28 trillion by 2018. Every second you keep your savings in paper investments, the national debt destroys your savings and your retirement. But just as the national debt has more than tripled in the last decade, so has gold. Gold rises with debt more than any other asset on Earth. So as the national debt doubles in the next 5 years, where do you think your savings and IRA need to be? Gold. Call now to get your free book. Rescue your savings from the national debt disaster. Call 1-800-226-8106. Free book and free Gold IRA guide. 1-800-226-8106. Stop the government from stealing your savings through reckless spending. Get your free book. Rescue your savings from the national debt disaster. 1-800-226-8106. 1-800-226-8106. 1-800-226-8106.
Do you owe the IRS? Do you have unfiled tax returns? Have you received a wage garnishment or bank levy? Maybe a lien has been filed against you. OMG Tax can help you with all your IRS tax problems. Don't wait another second. Take action now. Call my team at OMG Tax. Honest and professional, we don't make false promises. If you owe back taxes, or if the IRS is garnishing your paycheck, you need help now. OMG Tax can help you get your life back to normal. If you're serious about handling your tax matter, call OMG Tax now and get the peace of mind you deserve. Don't let the IRS take your next paycheck. Stop waiting and call our team at OMG Tax. OMG Tax has a straightforward, no-nonsense approach and has helped many Americans resolve their IRS nightmare. Call OMG Tax now.
Call 1-800-255-6485. That's 1-800-255-6485. 800-255-6485.
Heart disease is the biggest killer disease in America, and this doesn't surprise me. We are addicted to starches, sugars, fatty meats, and salt. People who live in countries with little heart disease eat very differently. One way some people stay heart healthy is by following what is known as the caveman or Stonehenge diet, so named because of its similarity to the way our prehistoric ancestors ate. People who follow this type of diet live off local fruits and root vegetables and get their protein mostly from fish and wild game they shoot themselves. Now, since most of us don't hunt or fish for all our protein, here are some simple tips on how you can start to eat like a caveman, modern day style. First, fill up on fruits and vegetables. Eat them first and you'll be less hungry. Feast on fish, which is rich in nutrients but not in calories. Choose fatty fish like mackerel, herring, sardines, and salmon, which are rich in heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Get out and go for a walk. Remember, our ancestors were hunters and gatherers, so they didn't spend their time sitting in front of a TV or computer all day. If you live more like a caveman or a cave woman, your heart will love you for it. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thank you for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-625-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, and we are continuing to watch the situation. There's really not a lot new to report. We have 12 dead at the Navy Yard in Washington, D.C. This happened early this morning after 8 o'clock. A gunman, possibly a lone gunman, possibly two gunmen, opened fire, killing 12 people, killing 11 people. The gunman, one gunman, is dead. He's been identified as Aaron Alexis from Texas. NBC News reported to us at the beginning of this hour that he is a independent contractor who just joined that facility very recently. and that he used the identity, the pass of a former military officer to gain access to the facility, and he came armed with 3 weapons. He's dead. Originally, they had been looking for 2 more shooters, 2 more possible shooters, 1 white, 1 black. They've ruled out the white suspect. They're looking for the African-American or black suspect, but no further word, no word on motive. We don't know anything more about Aaron Alexis other than what I told you. I'm sure that we will find out, and when we do, we will bring it to you right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Very disturbing. This will be cut 23, Will. Cut 23. Carol Costello on CNN, the network which is remaking itself in its own image. Carol Costello was interviewing Brian Todd, who was on scene earlier today at the shooting, and almost in bizarrely, she says this to him, and then he basically caught what she said and responded appropriately. This is cut 23.
I was just saying that this is so unusual because this is such a heavily secured military facility. I worked in Washington for many years. I'd never heard of such a thing happening.
Well, we haven't either in this area, Carol. This is the first time we've seen something like this, at least in many, many years now. Of course, you remember the Fort Hood shooting in 2009, where that was a member of the service who was convicted eventually of doing that shooting.
Yeah, well, she's never heard of anything happening like this. I mean, Fort Hood? Hello? Now, 13 people were killed in Fort Hood, and none of them were the shooter. Here we had 11 plus the shooter. So, we have a lot of information to find out, but it's pretty obvious that, yes, this has happened before. In the next hour, I'm going to let you hear some of what Barack Obama had to say, and it's disturbing because, you hate to get into politics on a day like today, but it didn't stop Barack Obama from getting into politics. Today, Barack Obama took to the podium at an event, announced what happened at the Navy Yard, and then went on to trash Republicans. In 2009, November of 2009, he took to the podium at an event for Native Americans, gave a shout-out to an Indian chief in the audience, went on for 2.5 minutes or more before he finally said, oh, yeah, you may have heard there's been a shooting at Fort Hood, blah, 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 blah. So he reversed the order today, but still very inappropriate. I mean, why couldn't he have said, I intended to talk about the budget, I intended to talk about the deficit, I intended to talk about, what we need to get done, but on this day, while we still have the dead and the wounded just, a mile or less from where I'm standing, let's put everything aside and let's regroup tomorrow. I'm going back to the White House to keep track of what's going on. Pray for those who are wounded. Pray for those families who lost loved ones. And let's get to the bottom of what happened here. No, he can't do that. So we trashed Republicans. We'll let you hear more of that at the top of the next hour. And we'll take you back to November of 2009 when he most inappropriately announced the Fort Hood shooting. It was disgraceful the way he did it. Just disgraceful. So that's our president. What can I tell you? That is our president. Now, anybody see CBS Face the Nation with Bob Schieffer over the weekend? Senator Bob Corker, Republican from Tennessee, and Carl Levin, Democrat from Michigan, were on, and they were talking about Syria and other issues. And listen to cut. This will be 24 and 25, Will. I want you to listen to Bob Schieffer here. And by the way, 855-777-9660. I do not have the call screen up, so I do not know if there's anything at all. He asks a question of Levin, but doesn't ask it of Corker, the Republican. and instead says we're out of time. Let's take it one step at a time here. Here's cut 24.
Senator Levin, what kind of a grade would you give the president on the way he's handled this?
I give him a very good grade because he's taken a very difficult step because he has always been very reluctant to use force. He believes force should be the last option, and I happen to agree with that.
All right. So he gives him, not surprisingly, a very good grade, right? So the next question, he went on and on and on and on. Here we pick it up near the end of his answer, because he went on and on and on with this answer. And then Bob Schieffer, instead of asking the Republican Bob Corker, here's how it went.
But the president was clear. He has decided we are going to strike against that chemical system of Syria, and I give him credit for doing that.
All right. Well, we have to stop there. Thanks to both of you. And
that was it. He doesn't ask anything. He doesn't, we're out of time. Thanks for giving the president a good grade. Thanks for going on for about 20 minutes. No time left for the Republican to weigh in and give a bad grade. So we'll see ya. We're done. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate, but that's that's the way it goes. So Carol Costello never heard of such a thing, on such a well-fortified military facility, a shooting. And then you have Bob Schieffer asking the Democratic senator to grade Barack Obama on how he did. It's very bizarre, very bizarre. Let me tell you about something, folks. You could, if you're watching at Newsmax TV, you know exactly how to get there. Otherwise, I suggest that if you're listening on the radio, when this show goes off the air, very special event taking place on Newsmax TV. There's a legendary New York meeting which is going to feature conservative superstars, and Newsmax is going to broadcast it live starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's the New York meeting. Okay, an army of brilliant conservative minds joining together in New York City this evening to discuss the pressing political, economic, military issues facing America and the rest of the world. You'll hear from people like Senator Jeff Sessions, Mike Enzi, Congressman Joe Wilson of South Carolina, Donald Rumsfeld will be in attendance, and Senator DeMint will deliver his views on the President's Obamacare and so much more. So go to Newsmax.com, click on Newsmax TV tonight when I go off the air, and you'll be able to see a live video feed of all these wonderful speakers that will be up there giving their very valuable views and opinions following the Steve Malzberg Show. Next hour, more on the shooting, and going to let you hear the president, as I promised. And we're going to be joined by Stephen Moore of the Wall Street Journal about Larry Summers taking himself out of the running for the Fed, and also the 5th anniversary yesterday of the financial collapse on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Obama wants your money, and he's determined to get it. He wants your money to buy off unions, his Wall Street cronies, and to expand the Obama welfare nation. Well, Swiss America is determined to stop him from stealing your money. They want to send you an award-winning film, I Want Your Money, on DVD that exposes his plan. It'll help keep the government's hands off your money using gold, silver, and other hard asset strategies to protect your hard-earned money. Call today and request the DVD, I Want Your Money, normally $19.95, yours absolutely free. Let Swiss America show you how to use gold, silver, and other hard assets to protect your hard-earned money. Call now. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. Call Swiss America right now. Learn all about investing in gold. 800-978-3907. That's 800-978-3907. Call right now.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop. Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alex Malzberg. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Malzberg's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast, and it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-532-2967. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-532-2967. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-532-2967.
The debt bomb is ticking. U.S. Treasury says our national debt will hit $28 trillion by 2018. Every second you keep your savings in paper investments, the national debt destroys your savings and your retirement. But just as the national debt has more than tripled in the last decade, so has gold. Gold rises with debt more than any other asset on Earth. So as the national debt doubles in the next 5 years, where do you think your savings and IRA need to be? Gold. Call now to get your free book. Rescue your savings from the national debt disaster. Call 1-800-226-8106. Free book and free gold IRA guide. 1-800-226-8106. Stop the government from stealing your savings through reckless spending. Get your free book. Rescue your savings from the national debt disaster. 1-800-226-8106. 1-800-226-8106. 1-800-226-8106.
Obamacare. President Obama's massive health care law is taking effect this year. With over 15,000 pages of regulations, few even know what it means. Now, the Obamacare Survival Guide by Nick Tate gives you the shocking facts about this law. It's a step-by-step guide on how you can protect yourself. Already the New York Times bestseller, every American needs to get the Obamacare Survival Guide and find out about the new taxes, hidden fees, fines, Medicare changes, business rules, and why doctor shortages are likely. Donald Trump says the Obamacare Survival Guide is a must-read for anyone worried about getting good health care for themselves or their employees. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's at bookstores, or get our special offer at Obamacare911.com and you'll save $15. Go now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com.
Heart disease is the biggest killer disease in America, and this doesn't surprise me. We are addicted to starches, sugars, fatty meats, and salt. People who live in countries with little heart disease eat very differently. One way some people stay heart healthy is by following what is known as the caveman or Stonehenge diet, so named because of its similarity to the way our prehistoric ancestors ate. People who follow this type of diet live off local fruits and root vegetables and get their protein mostly from fish and wild game they shoot themselves. Now, since most of us don't hunt or fish for all our protein, here are some simple tips on how you can start to eat like a caveman, modern day style. First, fill up on fruits and vegetables. Eat them first and you'll be less hungry. Feast on fish, which is rich in nutrients but not in calories. Choose fatty fish like mackerel, herring, sardines, and salmon, which are rich in heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Get out and go for a walk. Remember, our ancestors were hunters and gatherers, so they didn't spend their time sitting in front of a TV or computer all day. If you live more like a caveman or a cave woman, your heart will love you for it. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thank you for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-625-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows. Pause and rewind live TV. Even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV. Cancel the cable. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV.
Welcome back. More air rescues were needed today for people stranded by floods in Colorado. Still more than 1,200 people are unaccounted for after days of torrential rainfall. Water has destroyed roads and bridges, leaving people stranded in their neighborhoods or in their homes. 4 people have died. An estimated 1,500 homes have been destroyed, and FEMA now says this is the largest airlift operation of its kind since Hurricane Katrina. And in this Newsmax exclusive, we take a look at Larry Summers' surprise decision to withdraw his name from consideration to be chairman of the Federal Reserve. Summers was considered the frontrunner to replace Ben Bernanke, who is stepping down later. His withdrawal followed growing resistance from critics, including some Democratic senators who would need to back his nomination, and Republican Johnny Isakson, who told us he had his own concerns about Summers.
I do have reserves and concerns personally, as do some of the others who you've mentioned.
And this has been your Newsmax Now update for September 16th. I'm John Bachman.
Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
I've made it clear to my team that I want the investigation to be seamless so that federal and local authorities are working together. And as this investigation moves forward, we will do everything in our power to make sure whoever carried out this cowardly act is held responsible. In the meantime, we send our thoughts and prayers to all at the Navy Yard who've been touched by this tragedy. We thank them for their service. We stand with the families of those who've been harmed. They're going to need our love and support. And as we learn more about the courageous Americans who died today, their lives, their families, their patriotism, we will honor their service to the nation. They helped to make great, and obviously we're going to be investigating thoroughly what happened, as we do so many of these shootings, sadly, that have happened, and do everything that we can to try to prevent them.
Yeah, there he is, our hero. Welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show, hour number 2. All right, problems. Of course, we're talking about the shooting that occurred at the Navy Yard in Washington, D.C. 11 dead, 12th death was the shooter himself. They're looking for another possible shooter. There are 3 people at Walter Reed Medical Center. The doctor says they're all likely to survive, and we don't know if there are any other injured or wounded or dead. We just know of the 12. Now, that was the president at a pre-planned event to tout how great he has handled the economy since 5 years ago when Lehman Brothers collapsed and the economy went south. You might think he would have canceled it, but no, he did not cancel the event. He was surrounded by women and other people there that benefited, he said, from the administration's economic and banking policies. Now, after he first called this yet another mass shooting, right away ruling out terrorism, and told us in this cut how he's going to take care of the American families and the heroes who died, just like he took care of the Fort Hood people, right? Calling it a workplace violence act and denying them their Purple Hearts, denying them the military benefits they would receive if it had been classified a terrorist attack. Don't worry, he's on the case. He'll take care of you folks. And he'll get to the bottom of it, too. just like he did with Benghazi. Oh, he is on the case. And then he goes on to trash Republicans. Not even the deaths of 12 people, or 11 plus the shooter, could stop him. Nope. The president went on to a lengthy and familiar defense of his economic record. As the events at the Navy Yard continued to unfold, Obama criticized Republicans in advance of the upcoming budget battle. He mocked Mitt Romney as having lost the election after calling for a repeal of Obamacare. And he talked about the economy he inherited from George W. Bush. Ladies and gentlemen, this was better or worse, you decide. At least he addressed the Navy Yard shooting first. Let's go back to 2009. As the Fort Hood massacre was already known, and the Fort Hood massacre death toll and injury toll was already in, the president comes out at a Native American event, and instead of immediately speaking about Fort Hood, this is what he said, cut 36.
Please, everybody have a seat. Let me, first of all, just thank Ken and the entire Department of the Interior staff for organizing just an extraordinary conference. I want to thank my cabinet members and senior administration officials who participated today. I hear that Dr. Joe Medicine Crow was around, and so I want to give a shout out to that Congressional Medal of Honor winner. Good to see you.
He gave a shout out before he even addressed Fort Hood. And he went on for another 2 minutes. And then finally said this in cut number 37.
But as some of you might have heard, there has been a tragic shooting at the Fort Hood Army base in Texas.
So touching. So touching he managed to fit that in. Isn't that touching? He managed to sacrifice continuing on with his shout-outs to people in the audience at a Department of Interior event, shout-outs to other audience members to tell us of the terrible shooting. And I'm sure he said he would take care of all the heroes who were slain on the military base at Fort Hood. Yeah, right. He took care of them all right. Don't let me tell you how he took care of them. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, Michelle Obama says the beats and the melodies in Latin music are so irresistible that even President Barack Obama will, quote, shake his groove thing tonight. Woo-hoo! While blocks away, the bodies and the blood are being scraped off the floor, Barack Obama will be shaking his groove thing. Gloria Estefan, Romeo Santos, Lila Downs, Marco Antonio Solis, and other top Latin musicians are joining the Obamas to tape the latest installment of the PBS series In Performance at the White House. That's right, tonight, because nothing will deter Barack Obama from shaking his groove thing. He is going to take care of the families, though, who are suffering now with wounded family members and deceased family members, and he's going to get to the bottom of it right after he shakes his groove thing. You could bet your sweet bippy he'll do that. Yeah, and he's going to solve Benghazi, too. Absolutely. And the poor mother of the slain CIA hero in Benghazi, who can't get 2 words from this administration, who lost her son, he's going to take care of her, too. As a matter of fact, he's been taking care of her. He's been taking care of all of them, along with the Fort Hood wounded and dead and family members. Yeah, he's been taking care of them, like he's been taking care of us. Again, need I tell you how he's been taking care of us? Gee, I hope there's a lot of video tonight of Obama shaking his groove thing, him and Michelle dancing away while the dead are covered up just about a few blocks away at the Navy Yard. What a man, what a president. Coming back with Stephen Moore on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy. Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere, or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Hello, my name is Fred Fleitz, and I'm the managing editor of LigNet. You've probably seen our name preceding some of the stories you read on Newsmax or heard LigNet referenced on Fox News, C-SPAN, or CNN. Perhaps you've asked yourself, what is LigNet? LigNet is an acronym for the Langley Intelligence Group Network, a private Washington, D.C. based service that provides global intelligence, in-depth analysis, and detailed forecasting. LigNet's staff and advisors include former CIA officers, national security experts, presidential advisors, and top-level government officials from around the world. I myself held several national security posts for the U.S. government during my 25-year career with the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Department of State, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Our lead advisor is General Michael Hayden, the former director of the CIA. He is joined by former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton and former chairman of the National Intelligence Council and Special Assistant to President Ronald Reagan Fritz Ehrmann, former U.S. Ambassador to Venezuela Otto Reich, and former clandestine service officer Frederick Russman. Former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee Peter Hoekstra also joined our advisory board staff. Every day, our goal is to use our expertise, our resources, and our worldwide staff to take the pulse of the ever-changing political and economic landscape and the threats we face on a daily basis. Whether you are following global events for your portfolio or business, or just interested in the world around you, LigNet provides what you need to know to keep up with global events. There are many. Every day, LigNet members receive the Morning Brief, a daily email that provides summaries and links to our daily analysis to keep you up to date on LigNet's assessments. LigNet members receive unrestricted access to LigNet's secure database of global analysis. All of our special reports, previous analyses, and exclusive video interviews with intelligence insiders are available to members 24 hours a day. But you also get top-notch analysis that resembles the President's Daily Brief, the classified intelligence assessment delivered to the President of the United States every morning. LigNet also sends breaking news emails to our membership list. If there is a development of global proportions or a terror alert, our subscribers are always the first to know. I hope you now have a better understanding of what LigNet is, but more importantly, recognize how truly invaluable LigNet can be. As the old saying goes, knowledge is power.
Join LigNet for $1. Go to lignet.com.
Breaking news and breaking hearts. Aww. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
Tonight, stocks plummet. The worst day on Wall Street in 6 years as one of Wall Street's largest investment firms goes bankrupt and another is bought out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. That was Charlie Gibson on World News Tonight. Well, it was back in September 15, 2008, 5 years ago yesterday, when Lehman Brothers collapsed and the financial crunch and downturn all began. Joining us now to talk about where we are and where we're going and what we've done is our friend Steve Moore of the Wall Street Journal. Hello, Stephen. How are you?
Hi, Steve. Great to be with you.
Well, thank you. Always great to talk to you. I just want you to hear Obama yesterday with George Stephanopoulos on ABC This Week. This is the other cut that we were starting with.
Well, let's think about where we were 5 years ago. The economy was on the verge of a Great Depression. In some ways, actually, the economic data and the collapse of the economy was worse than what happened in the 1930s. And we came in, stabilized the situation. We've now had 42 straight months of growth, 7.5 million new jobs created, 500,000 jobs in manufacturing, 370,000 jobs in an auto industry that had completely collapsed. The banking system works. It is giving loans to companies who can get credit. And so we have seen, I think, undoubtedly, progress across the board. The housing market has recovered.
Everything sounds pretty good. I mean, he went on to say that we're not there yet, but everything sounds pretty good.
Oh, wow, that was an amazing quote. I had not heard that one, Steve. And this is maybe the first time that this president, I've heard him say 1,000 times he's helped us get out of the worst recession since the Great Depression. I think I heard him say this was almost worse than the Great Depression.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is an amazing thing to say. Like I lived, by the way, through the 1970s. I remember what Ronald Reagan inherited with the economy and a complete collapse. So I'm not so sure this was even the worst recession since the Great Depression. But what we do know factually that this is the worst recovery from a recession since the Great Depression.
And why is that? I mean, all the numbers he just gave, I guess if it was all true on its face, that would all be pretty good news, right?
Well, look, the economy we're in the fifth year of recovery. It's been a kind of non-recovery recovery. We've had job creation that's about half the pace of what we normally get during a recovery, and about a third of the pace of what we got under Reagan. We've seen economic growth rates that are less than half. We're growing at 1.5% to 2%. We should be growing at 4%. And then, of course, the incomes of Americans, which is maybe the statistic that people care most about what's happening to their paychecks and what's happening to their ability to pay their bills, those have lost $2,300 adjusted for inflation since the recovery began. Now, I'm not talking about during the recession. People lost a lot of money during the recession. But what's amazing about this recovery is that in the recovery, people are still losing money.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, it's been said by many, many people. You and I have talked about this, and if we needed confirmation of our views and opinions, we've had it. And that is that, more and more people are leaving the labor force. It's at an all-time or modern era low of workforce participation. We have part-time jobs. I think it was Mort Zuckerman who said that part-time jobs will comprise over 50% of all working people in the United States in the not-too-distant future. If we stay on the trend we're on.
Yeah,
I mean, this is horrific news.
Yeah. Now, look, I'm optimistic. I actually think we might see a bit of a faster recovery in the second half of this year. Let's keep our fingers crossed. But so far, this economy continues to disappoint, and it disappoints for exactly the reasons, the opposite reasons that Barack Obama has been citing when he gave a speech today saying, the stimulus worked so well, and the auto bailouts and the bank bailouts and the mortgage modification programs and all these things, and the tax increase on the rich. I would make the case to you, Steve, that those were all things that actually have made the economy really grow so slowly. In fact, I think we'd be growing much more quickly if we had not had the big tax increase this year. I think the stimulus plan was the biggest waste of money in the history of Washington, and that's saying a lot. That's $800 billion that we have to pay off, and Lord knows if we ever will, but it won't be me and you. It'll be our children and our grandchildren and their children that'll pay it off.
We're talking to Stephen Moore of the Wall Street Journal here on the Steve Malzberg Show. And, of course, we have Obamacare staring us in the face. What's your take on this this whole debt ceiling and the effort that I don't know. I'm surprised to hear that there are Republicans in the leadership at all that want to even delay Obamacare, because I thought that Boehner had rubber stamped it and said it's going to happen. We're not going to shut down the government. And now maybe some people are going to make a stand. But when this thing kicks in, we're already seeing it. We're already seeing the disaster.
Yeah. This was another, remarkable statement the president made in his economic speech today, where he said, no serious economist believes that repealing Obamacare is going to help the economy. Well, I'm raising my hand. I guess I'm not a serious economist, because not only do I think that this would help the economy, if you ask me, Steve, what's the single thing we could do right now that would help get the economy back on course, I would say repeal Obamacare, because it has a significant disincentive effect on businesses to grow, to hire more workers, and to hire more full-time workers. I mean, when you were talking about the part-time worker trend, a lot of this goes to regulations in laws like Obamacare that make it extremely expensive to bring on full-time workers.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. So 5 years hence, where do you think, with your optimism, where do you think we'll be?
5 years from now?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a tough thing. Look, I actually think the one thing that has happened in the last 5 years, which is very good, it's totally independent of government, is that if you look at what's happened with American businesses and American companies and American corporations, since we hit that terrible patch in 2008, 2009, today American companies are lean, mean fighting machines. They are the most efficient companies in the world today are in the United States of America. They're not German, they're not French, they're not Japanese, they're not Chinese. They're American companies. So, my attitude has always been, if we could just get the government the hell out of the way right now, I think that the American economy and businesses would start to really flourish.
All right, now let's talk about the Fed chief with Lawrence Summers. Were you surprised that he took himself out of the running?
Yeah, I was, because this guy has an ego that would barely fit in the Empire State Building, and he's got a God complex. I always thought he would have been a lousy choice for. You don't want someone who thinks that he's a master of the universe and has no humility running the Federal Reserve, and so I don't think Larry Summers would have been a very good choice. None of these people, though, that they're talking about are very good. I mean, Janet Yellen, who's now the big leader, she's an inflation dove. She believes, Steve, that the way you create growth is by printing more money. If it were as easy as that, then Mexico would be the richest country in the world.
Yeah. So if she were to come in and her philosophies were to be carried out, would it be a continuation of what Bernanke's doing with the?
Yeah. And more so. I think you would see this quantitative easing on a even grander scale. And quantitative easing, for those who are not monetary economists, that's just a fancy term for saying printing money and flushing it into the economy. But we all know this. You don't have to be a PhD economist to know when you keep printing money like this at this reckless pace and keep borrowing it, that leads to the big I word, inflation.
Who would you like to see in there? Besides yourself?
How about Larry Kudlow?
Larry Kudlow.
How about Steve Forbes?
Yeah,
I mean, somebody who really understands how the economy works. I mean, but I'm not going to rule out, by the way, Steve, the idea that Ben Bernanke is reappointed. Remember, Bill Clinton reappointed Alan Greenspan,
right? Yeah,
chairman, even though he was Republican. So Wall Street wants. Look, here's the problem. Wall Street is addicted to the crack cocaine of cheap money right now. They want anybody in the Fed who will just keep it coming, keep giving us those doses of this crack cocaine. And that's all they want right now.
And they'll get that from Bernanke. They'll get that from Yellen.
And they'll get it from Bernanke. We need somebody who has the guts to take the punch bowl away.
Yeah, well, we need a president who has the guts to appoint someone who has the guts, and I don't think that's going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, Stephen, always a pleasure. Thank you, my friend.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Take care. Stephen Moore, ladies and gentlemen, Wall Street Journal. Interesting. He doesn't think it's beyond the realm of possibility that Bernanke gets appointed again. All right, folks, we're coming back. A busy news day with the shooting at the Navy Center in Washington, D.C. 855-777-9660 on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, and you may be forced to watch helplessly as you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, all while your home's value is eradicated. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer believes we will soon stare down a secret crisis that will rival the Great Depression. It was Wiedemer's 2005 book, America's Bubble Economy, that warned of coming meltdowns in our housing and stock markets. Washington did not heed his call,
and folks on Main Street lost $50 trillion from the recession. His New York Times best-selling book, Aftershock, predicted our federal debt and dollar would be the next bubbles to burst. And now Robert Wiedemer has released a startling video with shocking evidence the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Join us at Aftershock2013.com. Aftershock2013.com.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now. 800-574-6029. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-574-6029. That's 800-574-6029. Again, 800-574-6029.
If you need to lose weight and would like to get paid for it, that's right, I said get paid to lose weight. Just listen to the following announcement. The makers of GCE Green Coffee Bean Weight Loss are looking for real testimonials from real people and will pay you per pound to meet or exceed your weight loss goal. Until now, the secrets of green coffee's fat-burning power has been limited, but thanks to Dr. Oz, the secret is out. And now, this authentic green coffee bean fat burner is available in easy-to-take tablets. There are no expensive meals to buy or strenuous workouts. Simply take one tablet before each meal and record your progress. Only the first 200 callers are guaranteed to be accepted into the program. So if you're serious about losing extra weight and want to earn extra cash for fitting into your skinny jeans again, call 800-383-9230 now. Call 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230. Space is limited, so hurry and secure your spot today. 800-383-9230. Some conditions apply. 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230.
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare's Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today by going to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we can't forget with all the news that is going on regarding the Navy Yard shooting, we can't forget the rest of the news as we touched on with Stephen Moore, the economy and the possible naming of a new Fed chief. It won't be Lawrence Summers, of course. But now we turn our attention to Syria and the Middle East, and also a Senate amendment that would give the Department of Justice some power. We'll talk about all that with our next guest, who is Judy Miller, our friend and Newsmax contributor, fellow at the Manhattan Institute. Hello, Judy. How are you?
Hi. How are you, Steve?
Good. Always good to talk to you. All right. So let's start. I don't know where to start, but let's start with the UN report, long-awaited UN report out today, confirming chemical weapons use in Syria. But of course, it's not their mandate to come up with blame or kind of peg who's responsible, and they didn't do it, of course.
No, they didn't. But if you read the 38-page report carefully, or summaries of it, which I have to say I've been reading mostly the summaries today, you can kind of only draw the conclusion that this had to be the work of Syrian government forces, that this is President Bashar Assad's fault, and it's that because only really his forces had the kind of capability to conduct such a strike, and it's I think it we don't have to have the UN assign blame. The United States and its allies have quickly done that. Russia, of course, whose president in the op-ed pages of the New York Times said last week that it wasn't the Syrian government which had done this, it had to be the rebels, has not changed its position. Russia's ambassador said that today that there were too many, quote, unanswered questions to draw such a conclusion. But I think most of the world is drawing the obvious conclusion.
If it was the forces, though, I mean, there may be, but there are people who say that Assad may not have ordered it personally, and it might have been, rogue forces, whatever.
That's true. It could be. Yeah. I mean, we don't know a lot about the intelligence that persuaded the Americans and its allies, Obama's allies, that it was, the Syrian, that it was Assad. They have asserted that it was the senior level leadership. But I think that, we do. If there is an intercept of Assad giving the order, I'm not aware of it.
No, none of us are.
Yeah. Okay. So I think, but the issue is if it was his forces, whether or not there was a rogue group or not, he has accountability. He must be held accountable for it and responsible for it. But under the plan that's now shaping up to disarm Syria of chemicals, weapons that it didn't even acknowledge it had until this week, it's not clear that any price will be paid for this attack and the other attacks which we believe the Syrian government conducted.
Right. You know what I've said for the past week or more? I said I would have taken him to task for this harshly, and I'm against us doing anything in Syria. But at this point, I would have preferred, looking back, that at Monday morning quarterbacking, that he would have come before the American people, the president, and said 3 hours ago, I ordered a strike, blah, blah, blah. Here's why. It's done. It's over. This thing is just totally insane.
Well, as the president himself said, we journalists sometimes and politicians in Washington and congressmen and senators get too wrapped up in process, and that, yes, he conceded in these series of interviews that he's been doing that the process was messy, as he called it. But the chaos, the disorganization, the fumbling, all appear to have put the United States in a, quote, better place, which is not his words, these are mine, better place where, we're not going to have a military strike whose strategy, the point of which is kind of still hasn't been made clear. So I think I'm kind of with you, and I had grave doubts that a military strike per se would solve any problems, and absent a coherent articulation of a strategy of what it was supposed to accomplish, I think a lot of Americans had second thoughts about it. They were, and they never changed their views on that. In fact, the more the president spoke,
the worse it was.
It got for him.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
But on the other hand, if you're going to do something in terms of the neighborhood, which I have covered a lot, Israel and Syria's neighbors, and there are some really profound questions being asked about America's ability to keep its word. And in that sense, the the scenario that you sketched out was that he should have just done this, and answered questions and reported to the Congress later. I mean, in terms of the neighbors, that's certainly what many people are telling me, and in Jordan and in Israel and in Turkey, where there's an automatic assumption that the United States can be counted on to protect them and defend their interests in defending our own. So, we are now in a very, very precarious place where I think the clear implication of what's happened is that for whatever reason, and I think that Putin is a kind of strategist, and I think we do understand his strategy at this point, is that the acceptance of the Putin-Obama or Kerry-Putin proposal to disarm Syria of chemical weapons has now made America Bashar's partner, and he's going to remain there. And some people may think that's a good thing because the alternative to his leadership may very well be Al-Qaeda, whom the United States has been fighting for the past 12 years.
Yeah, just insane.
But there's such chaos and disorder in American foreign policy that our neighbors are dismayed and appalled. And even though many people didn't want a pointless military strike, there is some question about where we're going. What does this policy aim to do? I mean, I have to declare myself as a person who's long favored non-proliferation in WMD, being extremely satisfied, very satisfied, no matter how it happened. I agree with the president that no matter how it happened, it is a very good thing that Syria has agreed to disarm itself of chemical weapons.
But do you believe that?
However, speaking to the people who've actually done it in Iraq and in other places in the former Soviet Union, I have the gravest of doubts that it can be done. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't try, and that the United States, it's not incumbent on us now to make a good faith effort to do this, but I don't think we should have any illusions about how dangerous and how implausible such a disarmament would be in the midst of a vicious civil war.
Right, and it could involve, if it were to get to this point even, if the weapons are in fact still there, all of them, or even some of them, it could involve American boots on the ground, with maybe in conjunction with others, in trying to get those weapons out. And that's a dangerous situation, as you described. It's a civil war going on.
Yeah, we keep hearing that there won't be any American boots on the ground, but I don't see, absent some kind of international boots or American boots, and we would certainly be part of that, how international inspectors could be protected. I don't see how the material can be moved out of Syria. I don't see how it could be destroyed in place, given what's going on the ground. And so I await further details. I just, mark me down, Steve, as along with you in the kind of skeptical and deeply worried category.
Yep, absolutely. We're talking to Judy Miller here on the Steve Malzberg Show. A couple of other things real quick. And one is that the president is acknowledging that he's exchanged letters with the new president of Iran, and it's leading to speculation that this could lead to talks between the president or between the U.S. and Iran on their nuclear program. And then I see that Putin is going to Tehran to talk about nukes with the Iranians. I mean, maybe the Iranians are encouraged by what they're seeing here, the chaos in our foreign policy, the willingness to trust Syria, after they probably know Syria moved most, if not all, of the weapons, and willing to call it a victory. Maybe they're saying, hey, I'll take a piece of that, and who knows?
Well, I think that you have to take a step back, and ever since the election of President Rouhani, which no one in the intelligence community predicted, by the way, yet again, it was obvious that there was going to be a renewed emphasis on a diplomatic solution to the Iranian nuclear effort. I mean, that it's been in the cards ever since that election. So I don't see that. I think we could have expected it. We should expect it. And once again, when you look at the military options, as Israel has, as American strategists have, and you look at how hard it would be to really destroy, if not even defer, Iran's nuclear program through military action, I think we have to see what can come out of talks with the new Iranian government without having any illusions or, with maintaining a lot of skepticism. But I think this is the only wise course to pursue. And it's interesting to me that Putin is now trying to put himself yet again front and center in the middle of this process. This is the new Nobel Prize aspirant, Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, true.
Joining the other Nobel Prize winner, Barack Obama.
I know, God help us. Anyway, one more. There's an amendment that's moving through the Senate Judiciary Committee that would allow the government essentially to determine who is a journalist for purposes of legal protection of sources. Protecting a source, a journalist under the law would be anyone who works or worked for an entity or a service that disseminates news information. In other words, they kind of want bloggers and citizen journalists, quote unquote, to not be included under that protection. How do you feel about that? As someone
I'm not sure that that's the way I interpret that.
Okay.
I think it's the language is written as written. The language would include a lot of bloggers, and if they it's a very functional definition, and it I think it's certainly a broader definition than the first go around on the Shield law, and this is of course something I'm deeply concerned about, given my 85 days in jail to protect a source.
But you're right. It would cover bloggers and citizen journalists if their intent was to disseminate information.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the Justice Department would get to determine whether their primary intent was news distribution or they had a political axe to grind or political point of view kind of. So I mean that gets.
No, I'm not sure that's the way this legislation
okay, that's how I read it. Okay.
Dianne Feinstein, who has been quite tough on this, is pretty comfortable with the language. The Reporters Committee, the former chairman of the Reporters Committee, is Lucy Dalglish. Thinks the language is pretty good. It's certainly broader than what we had before. I think a lot of people are troubled by the notion that the government would be defining who is and who is not a journalist. But there's a trade-off here, Steve. If we don't do that, then nobody's going to get protection from being hauled before grand juries, from being asked about our sources in trials. I mean, we've got to do something to protect journalists. There are now in 49 out of 50 states that have provided some kind of, shield protection for journalists so that we can go on having a First Amendment in this country. Right. But the federal government provides no such protection. And so people like me, like James Rosen, like Jim Risen, Jana Winter, the other people who are now have fought or are fighting efforts to keep their sources secret would be greatly helped in some instances by this legislation. My concern is, of course, in national security cases, there is a balancing test, and we're likely to lose that. But at the moment, most interactions between journalists and the government do not involve national security, and a federal shield law would be enormously helpful in such cases. And yes, we will have to define who is and who is not a journalist. So I've been pushing for as broad a definition as possible.
And that's two pieces of one report and one piece of legislation that you've read completely, and I have not. The UN report and this, and it shows in this interview.
Oh, I know. I've only read a summary.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Judy, thank you very much. Always good to talk to you.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Judy Miller, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. We have some new information regarding the shooting. The death toll has been updated, and we know more about the shooter who is dead. We will come back and fill you in the naval shooting at the Naval Yards in Washington, D.C. Don't forget, as far as I know, it's still on at the White House, the big Boogie Oogie Oogie Party. The president, according to Michelle, will shake his groove thing tonight, so he's not too concerned. Right here on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Judging from everything you hear, you think all cholesterol is bad, but that's not really true. You need a certain amount of cholesterol to maintain good health. The problem is that too much cholesterol in your blood contributes to a plaque, a fatty substance that narrows the coronary arteries that feed blood flow to your heart. Picture your coronary arteries as a 4-lane highway. If one lane becomes blocked, traffic still flows well. 2 lanes, no major problem. But if a 3rd lane becomes blocked, that spells trouble. It's the same way with your coronary arteries. And when plaque slows their blood flow to your heart, this can even cause a heart attack. The good news is that when it comes to cholesterol, lifestyle changes can pay off big time. Even a small reduction in plaque can be like opening up another highway lane. Suddenly, blood flow that was stalled can go forward again. Changing your lifestyle does not have to be hard. And in fact, here are 3 ways to help you start lowering your cholesterol. Snack on nuts. Nuts are probably one of the easiest and tastiest ways to lower cholesterol. Walnuts and almonds are among the best. Bulk up your diet with fiber. Choose whole fruits instead of a fruit juice, brown rice instead of white, and if you're eating a baked potato, be sure to leave the skin on. Choose fish. Fish contains cholesterol-fighting omega-3 fatty acids. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks, and I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement. You can finally have that room you've always wanted with our total basement finishing system. Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again.
Call now for your free basement inspection at 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. Learn how to waterproof your basement now. Call this number, 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794.
We're in the midst of an obesity epidemic, and I'm not surprised. The statistics on obesity mirror an increasing trend of eating out or ordering in. In fact, some people dine out every night. But eating in restaurants is one of the biggest enemies of your heart. When you're in a restaurant, you don't really know what you're getting. And the calorie counts of many restaurant dishes are astronomical. In fact, some single dishes contain more calories than we should eat in an entire day. Eating in fast food restaurants is even worse. A diet of hamburgers, French fries, and shakes constitutes a fast lane to the emergency room. If you really want to help your heart, get in the habit of cooking simple meals at home. Here are 3 easy tips that will make your food taste better than even the best restaurant. Choose the best fruit in season. Your local farmer's market is a great place to start. It will probably still cost less than that pie you were thinking of buying. Get in the habit of using fresh herbs. You can use them in egg white omelets or dust them on the fish you grill or bake. And for a light dessert, choose a square or 2 of dark chocolate that you and your spouse can enjoy. There are lots of ways to make your heart healthy, but there are also lots of ways to damage it. That's why I wrote Fix It, Dr. Crandall's 90-day program. In it, I'll tell you how to kickstart your metabolism every day, how to pick the best diet for you, how to stop hunger from sabotaging your diet, the 7 superfoods for your heart. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Here's the latest that we have. We now have at least 13 dead in the D.C. shooting at the Navy Yard, including the suspect. We're learning a little bit more about what happened in gaining the death of that suspect or taking him down. He is now he's been identified. We identified him at the top of the show as Aaron Alexis, 34 years old, a military contractor from Texas, an independent contractor, new to the facility reportedly, and he engaged the responders, the SWAT teams, the police in multiple shootouts within the facility, and they are certain that he would have continued shooting had he not been confronted. So he was engaged with the police or the SWAT teams, whoever responded first, and confronted him on several different occasions. It was kind of a shoot and run type of thing, but he shot it out with them, and he was killed. But again, that number now up from 12 to 13 dead, including the gunman. And we have 3 people that are at Walter Reed alert and responsive. They are all expected to survive. We're also getting some information on the shooter while they still search for one more possible shooter. That African-American suspect that we had talked about throughout the show, still at large, still looking for him. But the SmokingGun.com says that Aaron Alexis, while in Texas, was arrested in September of 2010 after his upstairs neighbor called Fort Worth police to report that a bullet had been shot into her apartment. The round apparently first traveled through her home's floor and then the ceiling. The woman said that she was terrified of Alexis, who had previously confronted her about making too much noise. When police got there and confronted Alexis, he claimed the gun went off by accident. He was cooking. He had greasy, oily hands, and he was cleaning the gun, and it went off by accident. And they said, well, why didn't you check on your neighbor or anything? And he said, well, I didn't know that the bullet pierced. I don't see any hole in the ceiling or the floor or whatever. I didn't know it went off, so I didn't know there was any reason to do so. So he was not arrested, and that's one of the things we know about him here. Although, let's see if this is the same report. Maybe he was arrested, because this headline says that he was arrested and the charges were dropped. So maybe they did take him. Yes, okay. After an officer noted that while inside Alexis' apartment, a dismantled gun covered in oil could be seen, the local DA subsequently decided to file charges. In early July, a male roommate of Alexis called Fort Worth cops to report his suspicion that Alexis, quote, put unknown substance in gas tank, excuse me, to damage vehicle. According to a July 5th report, Alexis, who was killed today, was apparently a civilian computer contractor. He was previously a full-time Navy reservist. So that's what we know about him right this second. And excuse me, folks, I'm battling a little sore throat, so hold on here. A little tea. Never hurt anybody, right? Anyway, so that's the story. I'm sure we'll find out much more about him. He is African-American, but he is not the suspect that we've talked about. They're still looking for someone else that they saw apparently on one of the video cameras in the facility. It strikes me that after all these hours, they wouldn't be able to tell by face recognition, since they have a description of him, whether or not they know who he is, where they could find him. That's maybe he's someone they're not familiar with, and that would be disturbing. Okay, folks, we're coming back much, much more ahead. You know where you are. You're on the Steve Malzberg Show. And stay tuned after the show's off at 6 p.m. Eastern in another hour for a great event with lots of top Republican speakers. It's all going to be broadcast live on Newsmax TV. Right now, Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
3 a.m. and you're up again for the third time. It's not just affecting your sleep, it's interrupting your daily life. Frequent trips to the bathroom due to an aging prostate is a common concern, but you can now do something about it with Prostate Revive. Doctor-formulated Prostate Revive is an all-natural dietary supplement packed with 15 powerful ingredients, focused on improving prostate health by targeting the two main sources of prostate concerns, rogue testosterone and inflammation. And now, in this limited-time radio offer, you can try Prostate Revive absolutely free. That's a free bottle, a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, risk-free. Plus, if you call right now, you'll also receive our free report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. Call now for details on getting your free bottle, plus our doctor's report. Call 1-800-659-REVIVE. That's 1-800-659-REVIVE. Don't be a victim of an aging prostate. Start getting the sleep you need and get your life back with Prostate Revive. Claim your risk-free bottle now at 1-800-659-REVIVE.
Do you have a motorized wheelchair or scooter that needs repairs and you don't know where to turn? Then call the experts at Precision Repair Network. They are the specialists in repairing all makes and models of motorized wheelchairs and scooters. You can call 24/7 and they will come to you anywhere in the United States. They'll give you a loaner to use until they return yours in perfect condition. And your repairs may be covered by your Medicare or your private insurance, so there is little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. If your wheelchair or scooter needs repairs, call this special hotline now and learn how you can get door-to-door service on your repairs at little or no cost to you. Precision Repair Network. They'll get you moving again. Operators are ready to take your call right now. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. That's 800-978-4813.
The debt bomb is ticking. U.S. Treasury says our national debt will hit $28 trillion by 2018. Every second you keep your savings in paper investments, the national debt destroys your savings and your retirement. But just as the national debt has more than tripled in the last decade, so has gold. Gold rises with debt more than any other asset on Earth. So as the national debt doubles in the next 5 years, where do you think your savings and IRA need to be? Gold. Call now to get your free book. Rescue your savings from the national debt disaster. Call 1-800-226-8106. Free book and free gold IRA guide. 1-800-226-8106. Stop the government from stealing your savings through reckless spending. Get your free book. Rescue your savings from the national debt disaster. 1-800-226-8106. 1-800-226-8106. 1-800-226-8106.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45 non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month, and this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50 non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309.
Heart disease is the biggest killer disease in America, and this doesn't surprise me. We are addicted to starches, sugars, fatty meats, and salt. People who live in countries with little heart disease eat very differently. One way some people stay heart healthy is by following what is known as the caveman or Stonehenge diet, so named because of its similarity to the way our prehistoric ancestors ate. People who follow this type of diet live off local fruits and root vegetables and get their protein mostly from fish and wild game they shoot themselves. Now, since most of us don't hunt or fish for all our protein, here are some simple tips on how you can start to eat like a caveman, modern day style. First, fill up on fruits and vegetables. Eat them first and you'll be less hungry. Feast on fish, which is rich in nutrients but not in calories. Choose fatty fish like mackerel, herring, sardines, and salmon, which are rich in heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Get out and go for a walk. Remember, our ancestors were hunters and gatherers, so they didn't spend their time sitting in front of a TV or computer all day. If you live more like a caveman or a cave woman, your heart will love you for it. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thank you for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-625-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV. Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more. 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV.
Welcome back. More air rescues were needed today for people stranded by floods in Colorado. Still more than 1,200 people are unaccounted for after days of torrential rainfall. Water has destroyed roads and bridges, leaving people stranded in their neighborhoods or in their homes. 4 people have died. An estimated 1,500 homes have been destroyed, and FEMA now says this is the largest airlift operation of its kind since Hurricane Katrina. And in this Newsmax exclusive, we take a look at Larry Summers' surprise decision to withdraw his name from consideration to be chairman of the Federal Reserve. Summers was considered the frontrunner to replace Ben Bernanke, who is stepping down later. His withdrawal followed growing resistance from critics, including some Democratic senators who would need to back his nomination, and Republican Johnny Isakson, who told us he had his own concerns about Summers.
I do have reserves and concerns personally, as do some of the others who you've mentioned.
And this has been your Newsmax Now update for September 16th. I'm John Bachman.
Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, hour number 3 of the Big Steve Malzberg Show. And if you want to weigh in, 855-777-9660, 855-777-9660. And I'm sure very soon, in the next few days, we'll start to learn the names, see the faces, and find out the stories of each of those 12 people who were killed today at the Navy Yard in Washington, D.C., a huge facility with thousands of employees, and how this Aaron Alexis, the shooter, who was one of the 13 fatalities, how he got on base, so got the false ID to get on base with the guns, and how he, or why he decided to shoot the place up. after being hired as an independent computer contractor, military contractor, expert in computers. All these questions will be answered, but it's horrific, and I just all I could ask for, and all Americans could ask for, and all the families of the victims could ask for today is that going forward, the truth will be told. Going forward, our government will be honest with us. Going forward, that in the face of evidence, the proper classification will be labeled on this case. If this guy did it because he was a disgruntled, quote-unquote worker who went postal, then let's hear it. But if he shouted Allah Akbar when he did it, and I'm not saying he did, but we know Major Nidal Hassan did, then don't call it workplace violence. Call it what it was, in that case, a terrorist attack. And when you say, as Mr. Obama has already said today, we will take care of the families of those who were killed, then mean it. Mean it. You said it about Benghazi, and you didn't mean it. You said it about Fort Hood, and you didn't mean it. And now you're saying it about this. Question is, does he mean it? Based on track record, I don't see why we should believe that he does. We could pray that he does. We could pray that the family members of those involved will be taken care of, unlike the Benghazi family members, unlike the Fort Hood family members, and the surviving victims of Fort Hood. But based on what? Where's our reason for optimism? Based on what? Based on past performance? No, not based on past performance. If we go by past performance, the future and the outlook is not too bright. And I'm sorry to say that. I'm sorry to say that. And I'm also sorry to say, maybe, that President Bush would not have acted like this. President Reagan would not have acted like this. And I don't even believe President Clinton would have acted like this. Although Hillary's been instrumental in covering up, well, let's see. She was Secretary of State for both. She didn't have much to do with Fort Hood. But I just can't imagine another president besides this one treating families and survivors of attacks, military families, military survivors, the way he's treated them. And it's allowable, he gets away with it, because the media lets him get away with it. Can you imagine if this was George W. Bush and you had a mother going around on television shows and radio shows? She was on our show, at times in tears, other times close to tears, all times emotional and heartsick, talking about how her son was killed and nobody will help her, nobody will communicate with her, nobody will tell her anything. Could you imagine if this was George Bush? This woman would be on CNN every single day. Erin Burnett, who counts down the days since we lost our AAA credit rating. She'd be counting down the days. How many days now since the president has ignored this poor woman? But no. Give him a pass. He means well. Of course he means well. He'll mean well tonight while he's shaking his groove thing. In case you're just tuning in, Michelle Obama at a morning event. Now, unless it was prior to 8 o'clock in the morning, there's a good chance that this all took place after the shooting was known. But I can't verify what time, but I can tell you, as far as anybody knows, this event has not been canceled. The president's participation has not been, canceled for this event because it's a very important event. Michelle Obama saying today during a Latin music workshop for students this morning, according to a White House transcript, that the President of the United States will shake his groove thing tonight. Yes, PBS is filming this whole big deal, Latin music, Gloria Estefan and others, and the president will be there, shaking his groove thing. How many blocks away are these naval yards? I don't know. A mile? How many miles away? A couple? One? Less? I don't know. You think the right thing to do is to cancel it or cancel the president's participation? Here comes Chad with a bulletin. Really? Okay. Michelle Obama said these remarks that the president tonight will shake his groove thing at this event at 10:56 a.m. Eastern. The shooting took place after 8 a.m. Eastern. That's our crack producer, executive producer, senior media vice president, Chad Wilkerson. I like to call him Wilkinson because it ticks him off. Anyway, 2 hours after the shooting, she's talking about how the president's going to shake his groove thing. I'm sorry that I'm bringing it up again. I'll bring it up the whole rest of the hour and tomorrow. You think if Laura Bush or Nancy Reagan did something like this, as disrespectful and disgusting and low as this wouldn't be all over the media and they would be forced to cancel the whole event in a minute? If he goes through with this tonight, and I don't believe he will, if he goes through with this tonight and dances, even if he's there, it's disgusting. If he dances, he should be impeached. Can you imagine that? You know what? Who was it? Chris Christie said when he heard about the fire down at the Jersey Shore in Seaside Heights the other day on Thursday, which we talked about at the end of the show, he felt like throwing up. That's what I feel like doing right now. I feel like throwing up. I really feel like throwing up. The disrespect is just mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. All right. We're coming back. Susan Ferrechio, chief congressional correspondent, Washington Examiner. Maybe she'll weigh in. Maybe she has an update. Maybe she knows they're not going to have this event at the White House. I don't know. But that's why I'm here. And at the bottom of the hour, we're going to be joined exclusively by the co-founder of Coptic Solidarity, representing the Coptic Christians in Egypt and here in the United States, to talk about a congressional delegation that went to Egypt and a human rights commission that wrote a letter to President Obama today. But don't bother him today about cops getting slaughtered in Egypt. He's going to shake his groove thing, baby, on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV, and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Credit card companies lure you in with low introductory rates or low minimum payments, and before you know it, you owe thousands of dollars in credit card debt. It has happened to millions of good people just like you. But here's the good news. Thanks to a powerful program now approved, anyone with $2,000 or more in credit card debt can cut their credit card payments up to half and even reduce or eliminate interest charges altogether. That's right. Our nationwide nonprofit program is helping U.S. residents cut their credit card payments. Call 800-613-3159 now. The call and information are free. We've helped over 500,000 people with their credit card debt, and now we can help you. Call 800-613-3159 to see how this powerful nonprofit program can work for you. Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Get free of credit card debt today. Call 800-613-3159. That's 800-613-3159. Again, 800-613-3159.
My patients still don't know what Obamacare means for them. And how could they? There are already 13,000 pages of regulations, and the bureaucrats are just getting started. Obamacare will change your health care, and you need to understand how. There are hidden taxes and fines, big cuts in Medicare, even new regulations on what services doctors can offer you. Some businesses could get hit with a 40% additional tax on your health care plan. Please, get the Obamacare Survival Guide today. It's the best book explaining the new law. It's easy to read, everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere.
Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming, the shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5 ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The silver polar bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
Attention seniors and baby boomers. A new website has been created just for you. SocialSecurity311.com. At SocialSecurity311.com, we reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security payouts. For example, did you know how you file for Social Security can dramatically change the amount of money you collect? One simple step could add up to $1,000 to your monthly payouts. And other loopholes we found reveal 33 ways for big savings on your health care. At SocialSecurity311.com, you will also discover how you could save up to 50% on your groceries, along with 49 other ways to save as much as $50,000 starting today. Newsmax says this website is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to SocialSecurity311.com now to find out how you could add extra money to your Social Security checks. That's SocialSecurity311.com. SocialSecurity311.com.
Sure, Steve might be a bit of a hypochondriac, but he never gets sick of breaking news. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. Call Steve at 1-855-777-9660. That's 1-855-777-9660. Here's Steve.
All right, folks, we're back on the Steve Malzberg Show, and joining us right now is our friend Susan Ferrechio. She's the chief congressional correspondent for the Washington Examiner. Hey, Susan, how are you?
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Okay, so, of course, the big talk there is the shooting today. How has it affected your beat? I know the Senate first recessed and then locked down, so nothing going on there, I guess, for most of the day, correct?
Yeah, it was going to be a pretty slow day anyway. Usually Mondays are just people getting back into town, so it's not a very busy day legislatively. Typically, there's a vote in the Senate around 5:30, and they've postponed that until Tuesday. So, in all honesty, it didn't have any real direct impact on the Capitol. I know they briefly did a lockdown on one side, which is kind of ineffectual because there's other parts of the Capitol that were not locked down, but I guess they had their reasons for thinking it was the right thing to do. And so they're just being extra diligent and checking people's IDs and making sure everyone who's in there is supposed to be in there. But it just sounds like they got the guy who did it, and this is not going to really directly impact it other than to have people talk about gun violence again in the days ahead. I'm sure you'll hear that come up a bit.
Well, I think we need to also address security. First of all, this guy supposedly used the pass or ID of someone who had recently left that facility. I don't think he came in on his own. Also, how they scrutinize and hire private contractors. We saw that with Snowden, and now we see it here. So I think that should be a focal point. But also, I don't know for a fact that they've stopped looking for the other quote-unquote black male. They had talked about a white and a black male still possible as shooters, and I know they counted out the white male hours ago. But what gets me is they're going off a video, I think, and if they know who he is, you think by now they would know who he is, facial recognition or something, and should be pretty easy to track him down or know if he was involved. But the fact that we haven't heard anything for all these hours ruling him out, I don't know, leads me to believe they're still looking for him.
I know. These things can be really confusing, too, because remember years ago when there was that so-called the shotgun stalker, and everyone was talking about there being a white van at the scene driving away. And
Oh yeah, it was all wrong.
It's
Yeah.
because they saw, eyewitness accounts, and even when you have a video camera, things may look suspicious. People may be running or acting suspiciously, but really they're just acting in fear.
Right, right.
There's all kinds of possibilities here, and you're right. They haven't said there was no other person. I think they're probably just playing it safe. But everybody thinks at this point, the conventional wisdom anyway, is that he's the only one. But then again, they have not ruled out completely a second person.
Right.
So we just have to be vigilant.
Yeah.
And, maybe somebody else out there, which is really scary. Somebody else may have escaped.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, they ruled, like I said, they had two possibilities. They ruled the white man out, but they're still looking for the black man. Let me ask you this question. I mean, we've made a big deal about this here on this show. There are stories on certain websites about this, even with Politico and all that. But, I mean, the president, Michelle Obama, at the transcript at 10 o'clock this morning, if you go on the White House website, she was at a Latin America kind of event, and there's going to be this taping. Gloria Estefan, all kinds of Latin American music legends for PBS. There's going to be a taping, and she said after 10 o'clock, she told students the president's going to shake his groove thing tonight. I mean, this is almost 2 hours after this thing happened. Do you know if he's going through with this or not?
And we're all waiting to find out. I think they postponed the Nats game. But that's more related to the fact that it's the proximity of the stadium to what's going on, the crime scene. That's a really good question, whether or not the president still goes forward. I mean, this is a really big shooting, a dozen people killed. It's people will question.
All right, I'm just getting some information from a source of mine, a pretty good source. The event is still on as of now. Not sure if the president's going. PBS is apparently airing it at 8 p.m. So and it streams live beginning at 7 p.m. So the event will go on, unfortunately, I think, in my view. But I tell you, if he shows up, it's bad enough. I think Michelle has some explaining to do about how she can make those remarks, or after the shooting. But if he actually showed up there, oh my God, the guy should be impeached.
Well, I don't know what you do in a situation like this, because so much effort to get everybody there and to put everything together, whether it should just go on and the president maybe makes a statement. You just certainly is problematic, in the whole optics department if the president is having a great time. I doubt you'll see him shaking his groove thing, frankly. I think if he does make an appearance, it'll be a very reserved President Obama that you will see at this event if he does show up. But you're right. Let's see how he responds to this kind of thing. I know in the past, it's not stopped him from kind of just moving right along when there's a big tragedy or a big event like this. So we'll see. Let's see what he does. It's going to happen in a few hours.
Yeah,
so
we'll know. We'll certainly know.
I'll be reading the pool reports to see if he's actually there or not. Everybody will be.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So it's in a way it's one of those things that happens in Washington, but didn't happen directly in the Capitol or at the White House. So it didn't directly impact government per se, even though it was right in D.C.
How far is the Naval Yard from the White House? Let's say.
It's a few miles.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought.
By the way the crow flies, but if you were to drive, it would take a little bit longer because of traffic and just the way the roads work.
Oh, tell me about it. I'm sitting in Midtown Manhattan. All right, very briefly, we have 2 minutes. Let's get a little thing in here anyway. What's going on, and where will it all wind up with the I thought the Republicans were in no way interested, at least the leadership, in doing anything against Obamacare, threatening a government shutdown. And now I'm seeing that actually a piece you wrote out that they're looking for an alternative budget bill that will fund the government but not Obamacare. When did this happen?
What's happening right now is that the Republicans are looking for, this Plan B, right? And they're not quite sure how to move ahead while keeping their own conference together. At the same time, they don't want the government to shut down because typically Republicans just seem to get blamed for this over and over again. And something like that could be very politically damaging to them. They could end up losing an election over it. If it's bad enough, anything is possible. Or they could lose a lot of seats. They've got 235 odd seats. They want to hold on to that advantage. So they're trying to come up with something that's going to that's going to satiate their Tea Party right about Obamacare. I feel like they're making progress on that.
Is it
But
like
they're
a
also
delay? We only got
successful.
about 30 seconds, so are they like trying to delay the implementation for a year?
Yes, they're trying to get a delay built into the bill. And the problem is I just don't think that the president's going to go for that, and so thus Senate Democrats will not go for it. And again, we're really stuck at gridlock here, and this is going to be a real standoff.
Well, we will
real brinkmanship.
we will have it covered with you, and we'll talk to you again next week. We'll get back in the rotation here, and I thank you, Susan. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, Steve.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Susan Ferrechio, ladies and gentlemen, Chief Congressional Correspondent, Washington Examiner. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Copts in Egypt and what's going on and what's being done here by some congressmen and some groups on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-625-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV. Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more. 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV.
Newsmax Magazine is proud to present a special tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary and commemorative issue of Newsmax Magazine celebrating the centennial of President Reagan's birth. First, here's a video clip from the award-winning documentary, Rendezvous with Destiny.
We're in the midst of a springtime of hope for America.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Impulses of an evil empire.
Tear down this wall.
I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
In the next several minutes, you will learn things about President Ronald Reagan that you've never seen, heard, or read before. Welcome to today's special Newsmax event celebrating the life and legacy of President Reagan. During this historic presentation, we will commemorate President Reagan's storied life. We'll revisit his 2 terms in office and recollect his proudest achievements and greatest challenges. Ronald Reagan's life reads like a fairy tale of success stories. He was an accomplished athlete, an honored veteran, a famous actor, the governor of California, and of course, our nation's 40th president.
He called himself a citizen politician and only entered politics when he warned government was gaining too much power. By then he was age 54. With a successful career behind him. Twice elected President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan was a contradiction to some. Once a Democrat, then a Republican. A champion of smaller government whose own government grew. A fiscal conservative who failed to balance the budget. His critics mistook his affability for weakness, but behind the smile and the charm existed an extraordinary leader with unique skills and bold and revolutionary ideas.
We only had time to share just a few of the top defining moments in Ronald Reagan's presidency, but you'll get to see them all in Rendezvous with Destiny. By the way, the president's close relationship with the Pope is especially fascinating. You'll also learn how dealing with an alcoholic father helped shape Reagan's ability to negotiate. And if you ever wondered what the leader of the free world likes to get for the holidays, well, you'll find that out as well. So let's review today in this free offer. We are sending you a copy of Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, and the collector's limited edition of our issue commemorating the 100th anniversary of President Reagan's birth.
Right now, when you subscribe to Newsmax Magazine, you can own both the DVD and receive the special Reagan 100th Birthday Commemorative Edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. Go to newsmax.com/Reagan13 to subscribe today. Join the millions who read Newsmax Magazine every month.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Let me read you a letter from the head of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. Dear Mr. President, on behalf, well, I'm reading you part of a letter. Dear Mr. President, on behalf of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, I respectfully urge you to speak out clearly and forcefully about the unprecedented sectarian attacks committed against Christians in Egypt that proliferated at a frenetic pace on August 14th and in the immediate days thereafter. It is also vitally important that the Egyptian interim government understands from you that it must promptly and thoroughly investigate violent incidents, prosecute perpetrators to the fullest extent of the law, and provide greater protections for Christians and their places of worship. And that's just part of a long letter to the president signed by Robert George, the chairman of the commission. And joining us right now to talk about this and more, the problems being faced by the Coptic Christians in Egypt, is Hal Miwad. He's director, co-founder, board member of Coptic Solidarity. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, Steve. Thank you for having me on.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's also so important, and I got to tell you, I am so ashamed of our administration for not doing what Robert George's letter implores the president to do. It notes in the letter that, yeah, he spoke out at one point, you know, he paid lip service basically to the situation. But, you know, we're focused here on the situation in Egypt, but we know what's going on all over the Middle East and parts of Africa, and specifically in you know, parts of Egypt where they're and Syria, where they're saying the Muslims take over towns and say either you convert or we behead you. I mean, this is intolerable. And if it were the other way around, I know that this president and our State Department would be condemning it every single day, but they're silent.
Well, you know, it's even worse than that, Steve. The Obama administration actively supported the Muslim Brotherhood takeover in Egypt. And they also exercise and put, you know, lots of pressure after he has been ousted by the first, you know, the popular move. Morsi was voted in by 14 millions, and he was voted out by 32 millions. And yet, you know, Mr. Obama and his administration insisted that he is, you know, the legitimate president of the country, and his oust was a military coup. You know, it was not a military coup. You know, this is maybe, you know, the first in history that, you know, a popular revolt, it was an actual revolution against, you know, the sitting president to remove him from the office. That happened, you know, so many times, you know, in history before. To stop the bloodshed, the military interfered to just carry out the popular vote and the popular will. So to call this, you know, a military coup is absolutely incorrect. To try to force, you know, the country to reinstate a hated, incompetent, and fanatic president and administration in Egypt, this is also wrong. It's not correct. It's not right.
Why do you think the president doesn't speak out more? I mean, the president is a Christian, and here we have Christians, excuse me, being attacked, slaughtered, churches being burned. What could be more horrific?
Well, you know, of course, you know, I cannot, you know, accuse, you know, Mr. Obama of not being, you know, a Christian or not being, but you know, I don't believe, you know, that he is of the, you know, of the, he has, you know, the strong faith, you know, to support, you know, his co-religionists.
But you know what? But let me interrupt, Hal. I'm Jewish. I'm sure any decent Americans out there, if they knew about all this, would abhor what's going on. I mean, I don't think you have to be a devout Christian to want to stop this. And here he is, the president of the United States, and, you know, we don't hear anything from this administration.
Well, you are absolutely right. You know, I cannot disagree with your statement. All it takes is to be, you know, an intelligent and, you know, human being. You know, you don't have, you know, to be Christian. As a matter of fact, you know, you know, I'm sure you heard of, you know, what happened in the village of Delga today.
You'll have to fill me in on what happened today. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, this is a village, you know, in the south.
Is this where they instituted the tax or no?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Yes. Well, you know, the tax, you know, let's explain that. You know, it's the jizya.
The jizya, which is when Muslims take over, as they have in this town in Egypt, a Christian village. They if they don't convert to Islam, they make them pay a tax. It's kind of a conquering tax.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Which is outrageous.
Of course it is. Yes.
Now
Go
ahead.
Yeah, this village has been taken over by the Islamists. You know, it has been 60 days. You know now. And of course, you know, everybody was screaming, you know, that, and so many people, you know, they just left, you know, their business, their jobs, their homes, and they fled, you know, from the village. And today, after 60 days and after millions of screams, the security forces, supported by units of the army, they entered the village and they arrested, you know, the leaders of the Islamists who took over the.
It took 60 days, but it got done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's
Okay.
that's way too long. We're talking to Hal Miwad. He's co-founder, board member, and spokesman for Coptic Solidarity. Here on the Steve Malzberg Show, there was a congressional delegation that went to Egypt about a week ago, and our friend Louis Gohmert was on it, Michelle Bachmann, and a few others. Tell us what that accomplished.
Well, what accomplishes, you know, that you know, this mission, you know, or this commission, you know, or that group was really badly needed, you know, to come back, you know, and educate their
fellow
colleagues,
Congress
you know,
people.
and-
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know exactly what happened in so somebody, you know, I have been, you know, I'm really disappointed, you know, with Mr. McCain, okay, and also Mr. Graham. You know what they said, you know, also they describing, you know, what happened, you know, the oust of Morsi as a military coup, and they are demanding, you know, to cut off the foreign aid, you know, to Egypt, you know, and, you know, calling, you know, for the government, you know, to put, you know, all the pressure it could on the institution in Egypt so they can reinstate, you know, Morsi again.
I know it's like they're an extension of Obama's personal policy. I don't understand that at all. I don't understand it at all.
Exactly. Here you go. Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, yeah, that group of the three Congress people went to, and they came back, you know, with the truth. They came back, you know, they had to study it, you know. It was a field trip that was needed to see, you know, things, you know, for themselves. And they saw, you know, the facts. And, of course, you know, in their press conference, you know, before they left the country, they announced that this was not a military coup. You know, the military just interfered to stop the bloodshed. If the military has not interfered in and asked, you know, Morsi to leave, you know, and actually he has been arrested because, you know, he's a criminal with a record. You know, one of his last crimes was, you know, breaking, you know, out, you know, from jail. Okay, of course, you know, he was not convicted yet, but to escape from jail in itself, and by itself is a crime. So, those people, the three Congress people, knew and they saw the facts, and they made, the announcement that no, this has not been, a military coup.
Right.
This was, an actual revolution, a second revolution to correct the first one that has been hijacked.
Well, let me ask you finally, Hal, what's your support been like? I mean, in this country, where do you see the situation in Egypt going? The people, the congressmen and women who went on that trip, they're obviously going to hopefully get the word back to the rest of their colleagues, as you alluded to. But where do you see U.S. policy going, and where do you see the problem of the persecution of Christians? Let's stick to Egypt for now. Where do you see that going?
Well, you're talking about the unpredictable region of the world, the Middle East. Okay, I don't know, as it is going, now, there has been, strides, to the, to the, like, what happened today and taking over, the security forces, reinforcing, the laws and taking over, the village. This is a positive, very positive step in the right direction. But I really don't know, Steve, whether things, will move in that direction, or, they could reverse, back, anytime.
Right. Well,
okay, I have, but,
Hal, all I could say is, we'll stay on top of this because this is just as outrageous as anything that's going on in the world. And it's going on all over. It's not isolated in Egypt with the cops, as you well know. It's going on now in Syria. It's been going on throughout the Muslim world and throughout parts of Africa where churches are burned, villages are burned, Christians are killed with the threat of conversion or death. And this is taking place in 2014, and nobody says anything about it. But yet we're all in a tizzy because Assad in a civil war took some actions which were horrific. But what's more in our national interest, acting on that or acting to protect Christians worldwide, or at least denouncing Christian persecution worldwide? It just doesn't seem to make any sense to me. I thank you for your time, and we'll talk to you again, sir.
Sure. It's my pleasure, Steve. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
You too, sir. Hal Miwad, co-founder, board member, spokesman for Coptic Solidarity, talking about the plight of the Copts in Egypt. Just terrible. All right, I got one more update. This PBS special, Latin music special, being taped at the White House in a couple of hours, is not going to air tonight. It's going to air in October. It's going to air on the online starting October 9th, and PBS will air it Sunday, October 13th. The president, latest I could find from my sources, is expected to make remarks. Now, he might make remarks, allude to the murders, and leave. But I got to tell you, I don't think the president should show up at all. What place does he have at a Latin music festival filming? It's bad enough the thing has to go on at the White House. They rightfully have the flag flying at half-mast at the White House and at government buildings all over Washington, if not all over the United States by now. But I know for sure in Washington and the White House. So how do you go and have a party there, a music festival there tonight, whether the president's there or not? And if they are going to have it, the president and the first lady should be nowhere near it, just out of sight. The president was supposed to attend. He sends his regrets, but based on the events of the day, it's to be expected. And go on, stay out of it. You don't need your face there. I'm very anxious to see what he does and what he says. But again, even showing up and saying we had another mass shooting, blah, 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 whatever he says, you don't belong there. Period. Yes, the Braves and the Nats game were postponed. Susan Ferrechio alluded to that and said that it was probably mostly because of the proximity of the stadium to the crime scene. But I don't know that for a fact. But that's true. That's true. Okay, we're coming back. We have one final segment in the hour. I'd love to hear from you folks on whether you think the president will show up, should show up. What if he does show up? 855-777-9660, 855-777-9660, right here, he said, on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Are you at least 62 years old like me? Could you use an extra $50,000, $100,000 or more to live a better life? Then please consider the benefits a reverse mortgage can provide to you. With a reverse mortgage, you can have your mortgage payments stopped altogether and get equity out of your home to live on. And you can use the money to help you live a better life. How nice would that be, not to have a mortgage payment? Qualifying for a reverse mortgage is simple, since there are no income, asset, employment, or credit requirements. However, you must be 62 years or older, own your home outright, or have a very low balance on the mortgage, and be prepared to live in it throughout the rest of the loan. Call now for more information.
800-831-1560, 800-831-1560, 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
If your prostate is giving you problems and your doc says it's just part of getting older, be wary. Renowned physician and author Dr. David Brownstein thinks this is baloney. He's discovered a link between aging and prostate health and believes prostate concerns do not have to be an inevitable part of aging. That's why he created Prostate Revive.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Brownstein. I personally formulated Prostate Revive to include the most essential natural ingredients available to help promote a healthy prostate gland and optimal urinary function.
The producers of Dr. Brownstein's Prostate Revive are so thrilled with the positive feedback from satisfied customers that for a limited time, they are willing to send you your first month's supply free. Plus, call now and you'll also receive Dr. Brownstein's special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. For details on getting your free bottle, call 1-800-596-REVIVE. That's 1-800-596-REVIVE. Take control with Prostate Revive. Call now while supplies last to claim your risk-free bottle at 1-800-596-REVIVE.
Drug, alcohol, and gambling addiction can be devastating for you and your loved ones. Don't let the disease of addiction ruin everything you've worked so hard for. The Treatment Helpline has helped thousands of people just like you take control of their addictions and live healthier, cleaner, and happier lives. You are not alone. Now there's hope. The Treatment Helpline has helped people just like you overcome their addiction. If you or a loved one is suffering from a drug, alcohol, or gambling addiction, let us help you today. Call 1-800-813-9821. Our seasoned addiction treatment professionals can show you how to use your private health insurance to help cover the costs of this life-changing program. Call now and get a free confidential consultation. 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821. Help is only a phone call away. Call 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really?
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect. With higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price.
Scroll down now to claim your copy of Obamacare Survival Guide for the special internet offer of only $4.95.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream is streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
Oh yeah, I am your captain. All right, a few things. First of all, if you're listening to this show, I want you to go to Newsmax TV right after this show ends. And if you're watching on Newsmax TV, stay there. Go to Newsmax TV. And tonight there's a huge meeting in New York. It's called the New York Meeting. That's how huge it is. And it starts right after the show ends, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're going to be streaming live this wonderfully productive, important event. And you'll hear from top Republican lawmakers like Senator Jeff Sessions of Alabama, Senator Mike Enzi of Wyoming, Congressman Joe Wilson of South Carolina. Also, Donald Rumsfeld will be there. Senator Jim DeMint will be speaking as well. This is a huge event, and Newsmax will be streaming it exclusively to you. So make sure you, right after this show's over, go to Newsmax TV and check out, because you're not going to want to miss this. Believe me, you're not going to want to miss it. All right, we have about 3 minutes left, and I know I'll never get everything in. So let me just let me start with this one. On Friday, I was off. Friday night started at Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish calendar. On that day, it's sealed, who shall live, who shall die. It's a day of reflection, of contrition, of confessing to sins, asking for forgiveness, and the like. And in his sermon at my synagogue, the rabbi talked about how, and you don't hear this too often, and I want to remind people about this, especially, well, I'll just remind everybody about it, no matter who you are. It was 40 years ago that the Israelis and Arabs fought the Yom Kippur War. 40 years ago. It was about 30 years after the Holocaust. Okay? Israel was caught by surprise, attacked by Egypt, attacked by Syria, attacked by Jordan. And Israel was in bad shape early on. They were not prepared. They did not respond well. They were caught completely off guard. And you know, in addition to the bravery of the Israeli armed forces, who lost almost 3,000 men and women, you know who else who saved Israel? You know who saved the state of Israel? Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon launched Operation Nickel Grass. It was an overt strategic airlift and operation conducted by the United States to deliver weapons and supplies to Israel during the Yom Kippur War. It was done over 32 days. The Military Airlift Command of the U.S. Air Force shipped 22,000 tons of tanks, artillery, ammunition, and supplies in C-141 Starlifter and C-5 Galaxy transport aircraft between October 14th and November 14th in 1973. Golda Meir made an urgent plea to Richard Nixon and Henry Kissinger, and Richard Nixon said, "We will stop at nothing. We will get this done. It is of the utmost urgency," and he saved the state of Israel. Now, there aren't too many Jews out there that would like to admit that, or that would like to hear that. They prefer to think is Bill Clinton to be the best friend Israel ever had, you know, who tried to give away half of Israel to Yasser Arafat, or Barack Obama. Yeah, Richard Nixon saved the state of Israel. for what it's worth. Just don't forget it. 40 years ago. 40 years ago. Incredible how time does go by. Yeah, and 41 years ago, the Munich massacre of the Israeli athletes. Okay, folks, we're going to bring you the latest on the shooting and more and find out what Barack Obama did at the PBS event. Hopefully he will not show up. Please, Mr. President, don't show up. Don't go. And I appreciate it. We'll talk more tomorrow. Steve Malzberg Show right here on Newsmax TV.